Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, April 16th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation over the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and the precipitation over much of central and eastern Idaho into Wyoming, back into northern and western Nevada has been well above normal for the time of year. However, very dry conditions continue over the southern areas of the Great Basin, with any precipitation being well below normal. Looking at the new snowfall over the last 72 hours, and you can see the amounts above 8 inches or so, 6 to 8 inches up in the higher Sierra, and also above 8 to 12 inches in the central Idaho mountains, with much lesser amounts in the higher terrain of Wyoming and down into Utah. Looking at our snow depth, we still do have good snow depth, near to just above normal, across Idaho and into Wyoming, and still in the 50 to 60 percentile range over the higher terrain of Utah and into the Sierra Nevada. The satellite loop and height image show the trough off the west coast, moving into California, and it will move across the Great Basin over the next 2 days. You can see the very cold air associated with the area of low pressure by the cumulus clouds over the ocean. This cold air will continue to push across the Great Basin. We're already seeing snow levels down to valley floors over western and northern Nevada, and we will see snow levels down to valley floors over the northern half of the Great Basin as this system moves through. Also, very strong winds ahead of this area of low pressure affected most of Nevada yesterday, and these stronger winds will push over southern and eastern Nevada and across Utah today, with gusts above 50 or 60 miles per hour. We will also see very dry conditions over the southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin, with relative humidity below 10 to 15%. Therefore, if we do see any fires in areas where fuels are capable of spread, those winds will certainly drive fire potential through today. By later this afternoon, this trough of low pressure moves into California and western Nevada, with precipitation spreading across Idaho and the northern half of Nevada. Very dry conditions will continue over southern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and Utah today, and also into parts of eastern Nevada, with relative humidity below 10 to 15%. Good dispersion will continue region-wide today with those stronger winds. Looking at the transport winds, the image on the left, you can see the darker browns and purples over much of southern and eastern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and Utah. And again, these are indicative of wind gusts above 50 or 60 or even 65 miles per hour. So these strong winds with the very dry conditions in place will be a concern today for fire potential if we see any starts. Further west and north across the basin will continue with some breezy west to northwest winds, but much lighter winds than what we saw yesterday. Mixing heights will remain very high over the eastern half of the Great Basin and still in the moderate range in areas further west. By Tuesday, this trough of low pressure swings east into the Rockies, and we'll see general showers across the Great Basin, or at least moving across the Great Basin through at least Tuesday afternoon, and then we'll see some drier conditions later in the day. We'll still see good dispersion, mostly region-wide, with the exception of parts of the Sierra into western Nevada, where winds will be decreasing under a weaker ridge of high pressure temporarily, and this will bring poor dispersion to that region. Looking at the conditions for Tuesday with the transport winds, and you can see still breezy winds over Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah tomorrow. However, winds will shift to the northwest and will be lighter than what we'll see today, but still gusts in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range will occur. However, temperatures will be cooling and relative humidity will increase. Mixing heights will remain high over the eastern half of the area and more in the moderate range further west. By Wednesday, we have another trough of low pressure moving through the area, and this will bring another round of cooler temperatures and precipitation, especially to the northern half to two-thirds of the Great Basin. This system might not be as cold as the one we're currently seeing move through the area, but still snow levels will drop to at least 5,000 feet over the northern half of the Great Basin. Good dispersion is expected on Wednesday, as again winds will increase with this system as it moves through. Looking at the transport winds on Wednesday, still breezy conditions, again enough to allow that dispersion to be elevated. However, not as strong as what we're seeing with the current system, so we'll see gusts more in the 25 to 35 mile per hour range over parts of Nevada into western Utah on Wednesday. Again, very good mixing heights region-wide. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah, again with the very strong winds we're seeing today and still strong to gusty tomorrow, we'll continue to see very high clearing indices, and they will start to come down on Wednesday as that system exits and we start to see lighter wind flow. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation over the next few days, and you can see where those areas of precipitation will occur. The only heavier amounts might be in the central Sierra and over parts of the central Idaho mountains, with lighter amounts as you move further south in the basin, but most areas, with the exception of the Arizona Strip, far southern Utah, and southern Nevada, will at least see some light precipitation. As we move into Thursday, that system that starts to move across the area on Wednesday will track for a little bit further south and east than previous storm systems and be centered over the south central part of the Great Basin as we move into Thursday, with decent precipitation over the eastern two-thirds of the region. So we will see that precipitation drop a little bit further south than we have seen with past systems, but still anything over far southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip will be on the lighter side. Still good dispersion on Thursday as that system moves through. On Friday, that area of low pressure moves further east into the Rockies, with a ridge of high pressure moving in, again temporarily across the Great Basin, bringing warmer and drier conditions, mostly region-wide, with the exception of the far eastern side of Utah, which will continue to see at least some light precipitation through Friday afternoon. Dispersion will be fairly good over much of Utah and Nevada, but slightly on the poorer side as we move further north, and those winds are a little bit lighter across Idaho and Wyoming. On Saturday, warm and dry conditions continue across the region, with lighter wind flow. Therefore, we will see more poor to moderate dispersion over Nevada and Utah and the Arizona Strip, with still good dispersion across Idaho as that next system moves by well to the north and keeping winds a little bit breezier on the northern side of the basin. As we move into Sunday, we see a weaker trough of low pressure approach the area into northern California, and this may actually bring a quick round of light showers to northern Nevada up into Idaho. And with this type of a pattern with the warmer conditions, we might actually see even a few thunderstorms embedded in this area of low pressure as it does move through those areas on Sunday. Otherwise, ventilation will remain more on the moderate to poor side across the region, as winds with this system will not be overly gusty. Looking at the precipitation for Thursday morning through Saturday morning, and with that second system, you can see the lighter amounts, again, moving a little bit further south across the Great Basin, with some of the heavier amounts mainly targeting the higher terrain of eastern Nevada into Utah as we move through Thursday and Friday. As we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us into the very end of April, we may eventually see a shift towards the very end of the month to warmer and drier conditions, but in the meantime, at least through the middle of next week, we'll still see at least some chances of storms moving through every 2 to 3 days. That concludes the webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.